Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. If you've ever wondered how fast love can turn into something unrecognizable, buckle up. Because last Friday, my wife vanished into her past, and I haven't slept right since. It started with a cold plate of spaghetti. No yelling, no cheating scandal. Just a plate of spaghetti I made that sat untouched on the kitchen counter while I stared at the wall, wondering if I was still someone's husband, or just a placeholder she forgot to remove from her life. The sauce had dried by 10:37 p.m. By 11:10, I turned off the porch light. By midnight, I was asking myself if I should call the hospital. And all this because she went to her ex's birthday party. I should back up, but not too far. Because honestly, the past doesn't matter when someone chooses it over you in the present. She left the house around 6:30 p.m., said she'd be quick, wore that green dress, the one with the slit that made me nervous even when we were together. I didn't argue. I didn't want to seem insecure. So I just smiled, kissed her cheek, and told her, "Drive safe," like a fool. She didn't take the lasagna I packed. She didn't answer my texts. She didn't answer when I called at 9:42, or 10:15, or 12:03, or 1:27, or 3:18. I didn't sleep. I just sat there, phone in hand, staring at the lock screen with her smiling face. Frozen in time from a vacation we took 2 years ago, before things started to rot from the inside. At 6:47 a.m., there was a knock. Not a loud one, just 3 soft taps, like someone ashamed to be on the other side of the door. I opened it. She was barefoot, crying, holding one broken heel in her hand like it was all she had left of herself. Her mascara was smeared into rivers down her face. She looked like a ghost wearing my wife's skin. She didn't speak, just fell into me, and for a second I held her, until she whispered, "Elliot, I need to tell you something." And what came next? It was worse than anything I had imagined in the silence of that night. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. There was something disturbingly unfamiliar about her that morning. It wasn't just the tears or the smeared makeup. It was the way she clung to me like I was a stranger who might walk away. And the cruel irony was that I had spent the entire night wondering if she was ever planning to come back at all. She sat down on the hallway floor without asking, knees pulled to her chest, still wearing that green dress from the night before. I stood in the doorway watching her silently, unsure if I should comfort her or ask her to leave. Her hands trembled, but she didn't wipe the mascara from her face. She looked like someone who had run out of lies and energy all at once. "Camden kissed me," she finally whispered, her voice dry like it hurt to speak. "But I didn't kiss him back. I swear, Elliot, I didn't." That sentence echoed inside me like a church bell. She said it like she expected me to feel better, like the intention not to kiss back would make the entire betrayal disappear. But I wasn't angry yet, just hollow. It was worse than anger. Anger gives you something to burn. This was frostbite. I leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. "You stayed the night," I said. "You didn't come home." "I couldn't," she replied, voice cracking. "It got complicated. His girlfriend showed up. There was drama. People were drunk. I lost my phone. Camden tried to—" She stopped herself and shook her head. I felt trapped. I didn't believe her. Not entirely. And maybe that's what hurt most. Not knowing if the woman I married was lying to protect me, or lying to protect him. She looked up at me, eyes red and swollen. "I know I've hurt you. I know. But please, Elliot, don't give up on us. It was one mistake. One mistake. That's what they always call it, right? As if the 100 tiny steps that led to it don't count. As if texting him behind my back, dressing up for his birthday, ignoring me all night. As if none of those were decisions she made. Just one little mistake. But I said nothing. Not yet. I opened the door wider and walked away, leaving her sitting on the floor alone. I didn't invite her in. I didn't slam the door either. I just needed space. I needed time to think. She eventually came inside, still crying, and locked herself in the guest room. I could hear her sobbing through the wall. But I didn't go to her. Couldn't. I sat on the edge of our bed, looking at the photo on our dresser. Us at the lake house, smiling like idiots. Felt fake now. All of it. Then something strange happened. Around noon I got a text. But not from Marlene. It was from an unknown number. No name. No greeting. Just 6 words. You don't know the full story. I stared at the message on my phone for a long time, as if the sender would reveal themselves if I looked hard enough. You don't know the full story. It was typed without punctuation, but somehow it felt heavier than a full confession. I checked the number. No contacts saved. The area code wasn't familiar, and when I called it, it rang once and went straight to voicemail. No name there either. Just a robotic, "The person you have called is unavailable." I looked toward the guest room door. Marlene had been silent since locking herself in. No footsteps, no movement, not even the creak of the bed. Just that stillness, the kind that builds pressure in your chest because it's hiding something. I had this overwhelming need to know what she wasn't telling me. Maybe it was Camden. Maybe it was worse. Maybe she had been lying since before the party. Or maybe that message wasn't about her at all. I spent the afternoon pacing, checking my phone every few minutes, rereading the message like there might be a code I was missing. I didn't respond. I didn't even know what I'd say. What I did know was that I couldn't go on pretending that everything was okay. I needed clarity. I needed truth. And for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't sure I could get either from Marlene. At 5:42 p.m., the guest room door finally creaked open. I was sitting at the kitchen table, phone in hand, staring at a bowl of soup I hadn't touched. She stepped out slowly, like she was afraid I might yell. I didn't. I just looked at her. "Did you sleep at Camden's?" I asked without raising my voice. Her lip quivered. She nodded. "I didn't want to, Elliot. I swear. I tried to leave, but things got out of control. People were arguing. He offered the couch. I didn't sleep with him." I cut in. "But you kissed him?" She hesitated. "He kissed me." Pushed him away. It didn't mean anything. Everything in me wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just leaned back in the chair and nodded. "Okay." She took a few steps forward. "What are you thinking?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "I got a message today, from an unknown number. Said I don't know the full story." That shook her. She blinked, froze for a second, then forced a nervous smile. "What? From who?" "You tell me," I replied. "Because right now, I'm not sure who to believe, the woman I married, or the phone in my hand." She started to speak, but stopped. Her shoulders dropped. I don't know what that means." I could see the panic setting in. Not the kind that comes from guilt, but the kind that comes from secrets slipping out of your control. She turned and walked toward the living room, muttering something about needing air. I followed a few steps behind, not to chase her, but to make sure she wasn't calling anyone. She didn't reach for her phone. Instead, she walked to the window and stared outside. "You think I cheated on you?" she asked, her voice cracking. I didn't answer. Couldn't say yes, but I also couldn't say no. Then she turned, and for the first time since this all began, her face twisted with something I hadn't expected: fear. "Elliot, I think someone's trying to mess with us." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted that more than anything, to hear something that made the knots in my chest finally loosen. But when she said, "Someone's trying to mess with us," I felt something twist deeper, because the moment she shifted the blame into some vague conspiracy, I realized something. This wasn't about fixing things anymore. This was about control, damage control, and maybe survival. "I haven't told you everything," she admitted after a long silence. Her voice was quiet, but not soft. There was a tension in it, like she was preparing herself to bleed. Camden wasn't supposed to be there. I mean, not like that. The party was organized by his sister, and I didn't know he'd show up alone. I thought he was still with his girlfriend. I thought it was a casual thing, a bunch of old college friends catching up. But when I got there, she stopped, looked down, swallowed hard. He made it clear it wasn't just a party for him. It was a setup. He wanted to talk, reconnect. I didn't know what to do, Elliot. People were handing me drinks. Music was loud. I felt cornered. I leaned against the wall, arms folded tightly across my chest. And you stayed. Yes, she said. I know. I should have left the second I realized. But I didn't. I didn't because a part of me, I don't know. I was confused. Camden always knew how to talk to me, how to make me feel seen. That word, seen. Like she hadn't had a husband trying to love her through every boring Tuesday, every overdue bill, every quiet moment when she scrolled through her phone instead of looking at me. I'm not excusing it, she said quickly. I didn't expect it to spiral. He kissed me when I went to leave. I pushed him off, told him it was a mistake. But people saw it. Someone took pictures. Maybe even a video. That's probably what that text is about. The unknown message came rushing back to mind. You don't know the full story. Suddenly, it sounded less like a warning and more like a threat. Like someone knew something even she didn't want me to find out. Or worse. Something she already knew and was terrified I'd uncover myself. I asked the only question I could. Did anything else happen? She shook her head too fast. No, Elliot. I swear. I slept on the couch. I locked the door. I cried all night. I hated myself for even going. But I didn't cheat on you. I didn't. I wanted to believe her, but my gut wouldn't shut up. That night, after she went to bed in the guest room again, I pulled out my laptop and did something I never thought I'd do. I went digging. I checked her recent calls. I checked social media tags. Nothing obvious. But when I searched for Camden's name on Instagram, I found something. A photo. Uploaded at 2:16 a.m. A blurry picture taken from inside his apartment. People in the background, laughing. And there she was, Marlene, sitting on the couch, next to Camden. His hand was on her knee. The caption read, "Some people never really leave. Happy birthday, bro." I stared at the screen, my heart thudding in my ears. And just when I thought I couldn't feel any worse, I scrolled through the comments. One of them stood out. She's gonna regret this when her husband finds out. I clicked on the commenter's profile. It was private. No profile pic. Just a username. Truthseeker_113. I didn't sleep. Again. I just lay there on the couch, staring at the dim glow of my laptop screen as that bio echoed in my head. You're watching the wrong person. It was probably nothing, right? Some troll trying to stir things up. But the timing, the photo, the message on my phone earlier, it all felt too deliberate. Like someone was pulling threads I didn't even know were loose. At 5:11 a.m., I got up, made coffee I didn't want, and sat at the kitchen table in total silence. I kept imagining that moment in the picture. Camden's hand on her knee, the smirk on his face, her sitting there like she belonged in that apartment. Not mine, not our home, but there, with him. Whether she slept with him or not suddenly felt like the second betrayal. The first was that she let herself be seen like that at all. She didn't come out of the guest room until almost 9. She looked tired, worn down, and somehow still surprised that I hadn't just magically gotten over it. She sat across from me at the table and reached for her coffee mug like we were just having another normal morning. Like this wasn't our marriage unraveling in real time. I know you're angry, she said softly. And you have every right to be, but I need you to trust me. I didn't cheat. I made a mistake, but I didn't cross that line. I didn't say anything at first. I just slid the laptop across the table and turned the screen toward her. The photo was still up. Her face paled instantly. Where did you get this? She asked, her voice sharp now defensive. Instagram, I said. Public post. Camden's apartment. 2 in the morning. You look really comfortable there. She shook her head. That was before things got weird. I was trying to leave. People kept handing me drinks. Camden sat next to me, but I didn't invite it. I didn't want him touching me. I pulled away right after. There's a comment, I interrupted, from someone who seems to know what's going on, and a private profile that says I'm watching the wrong person. Marlene leaned forward. Let me see it. I handed her the phone. She read the comment, scrolled through the profile, and went quiet. Then she whispered, I think I know who that is. I froze. What do you mean? There was someone at the party, a guy I didn't recognize, not a friend of Camden's, not anyone I remembered from school. He was just kind of watching, filming stuff with his phone. I thought maybe he was hired to do video, but now I don't know. He made me uncomfortable. I stood up, pacing now. And you didn't think to mention this before? I was scared, Elliot, she said. I didn't know what was happening. And after I got home and everything fell apart, I couldn't think straight. I've been trying to figure out what's real and what's not. What I imagined and what actually happened. So what are you saying? I asked. That someone set you up? I don't know, she said. But whoever that guy was, he's not just some random creep. I think he's connected to Camden. The room felt like it was closing in around me. I didn't know who to believe anymore. My wife, who'd lied by omission and kept showing up in the wrong places with the wrong people. Or some shadow account that seemed to know more about our lives than we did. And then she said something I wasn't ready for. I think you need to talk to Camden. I turned to her, completely stunned. You want me to what? He respects you, she said. More than you think. He used to talk about you before we got married, how different you were from the guys I used to date. He won't lie to you. He might actually tell you what's going on. I stared at her, trying to figure out if this was desperation or strategy. But deep down, I already knew what I was going to do. That night, I messaged Camden from an old account I hadn't used in years. I kept it simple. We need to talk. In person. He responded less than 10 minutes later. I thought you'd reach out eventually. Let's meet tomorrow. Alone. I barely slept the night before the meeting. I wasn't afraid of Camden, not in the physical sense. What haunted me was the possibility that this entire marriage, everything I'd built with Marlene, was based on a version of the truth that had never existed. That I had spent years loving someone who might have been rewriting history while I slept beside her. I met him at a diner on the edge of town, neutral ground, public, open. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in a booth by the window. Casually stirring a cup of coffee like this was a regular Tuesday. He looked older than I remembered from social media, still attractive in that effortless way, but with a rougher edge now. I sat across from him, and for a full minute we didn't speak. We just stared at each other, two men tangled in the same story. He finally broke the silence. You want to know what really happened, right? I nodded once. Camden leaned back, sighed, then looked me dead in the eyes. Marlene didn't cheat on you, if that's what you're here to find out. Not in the way you're imagining. But she wasn't completely honest with you either. She hasn't been for a while. That sentence cracked something in me, but I kept my voice calm. Go on. She came to the party because I invited her. Yes, it was my birthday, but that wasn't the only reason. We'd been talking for a couple of weeks leading up to it. Nothing physical. Just messages. She reached out first. My stomach dropped. She said she missed the way things used to feel. Said she didn't want to do anything stupid, but she needed someone to talk to who understood her. And I guess I played into that. I shouldn't have. But when she showed up, I could tell something had changed. She was nervous, twitchy, like she knew she'd already crossed a line in her head and was trying to walk it back. I stared at the table, fists clenched under the booth. Why didn't she tell me? Because it was emotional, he said flatly. Not physical. And those are the affairs people are ashamed of the most. The kind where you don't need to take your clothes off to betray someone. I felt a dull ringing in my ears. I had begged her for openness, for honesty. I had sat in this exact emotional purgatory for days, blaming myself for not trusting her. But here it was, confirmation that she had been unfaithful in the quietest, most corrosive way. Camden leaned forward. But there's something else. The guy who sent that message? The one watching the party. He's not just some troll. He's Marlene's coworker. That made me look up fast. Name's Tyler. He's obsessed with her. Everyone at the office knows it. He's been pestering her for months, showing up uninvited, leaving notes on her desk. She tried to report it, but HR brushed it off because he's the nephew of one of the directors. I blinked, trying to process the shift. So he was at the party? He wasn't invited. He just showed up. started filming, taking pictures. It was weird. Marlene got freaked out and wanted to leave, but that's when his girlfriend showed up. Yeah, Tyler has a girlfriend too and caused a scene. After that, everything spiraled. I sat back, breath shallow. None of this made sense. Or maybe it made too much sense in the most horrifying way. The message, the Instagram comment, the profile bio, it wasn't about Camden. It was a warning about someone else entirely. He's unstable, Camden added, and I don't know what his endgame is. But if I were you, I'd keep Marlene close. Not because she deserves a free pass, but because she might be in real trouble. That sentence gutted me. I came here looking for betrayal and left with something worse, fear. As I drove home, I kept checking the rearview mirror. I don't know why. Maybe paranoia, maybe instinct. But when I pulled into our driveway, something on the front door caught my eye. A white envelope. No name, no stamp, just taped to the center like a threat. Inside was a single photo. Marlene, sleeping, in our bed, and a note written in block letters beneath it. You still think you're the only one watching? I stood on the front porch holding that envelope like it was about to detonate. My palms were sweaty, my heart pounding so violently it felt like it echoed in my throat. I looked at the photo again. Marlene, asleep on her side, wearing the old shirt she usually only wore when I wasn't home. Her hair was slightly messy, one arm tucked under her cheek. But what shattered me was the angle. This picture wasn't taken through a window or from a distance. It was taken inside our bedroom. Someone had been in our home. Someone had been watching her sleep, and watching me, too. The note was typed in big, bold capital letters, cut and pasted onto paper like some low-budget thriller. You still think you're the only one watching? No return address. No fingerprints, no name, no explanation. Just a message loud enough to make my skin crawl. I rushed inside and locked every door, every window, every deadbolt. I turned off the lights and closed the blinds like a paranoid man unraveling by the second. When Marlene saw my face, she didn't even ask. Just followed me to the kitchen where I dropped the envelope on the table. Her eyes widened instantly. She covered her mouth as she stared at the photo. Where did you get this? She whispered. It was taped to the front door. Her hands trembled as she picked it up again, reading the note twice, then a third time. This is insane. Who would? You said his name was Tyler, right? I said, cutting her off. You think he's the one who took this? She nodded slowly. He's obsessed, Elliot. I thought it was just creepy flirtation at first. But then he started commenting on things I didn't remember telling him. Making jokes about what I wore, what I ordered for lunch. I assumed he overheard conversations in the office, but now I don't know. I grabbed my keys. We're going to the police. But she hesitated. We can't. Why not? She looked down, ashamed. Because if they ask how he had access to our place, I'll have to admit I once gave him a ride home after a company dinner. He saw where we lived. I even brought him inside for a glass of water because he seemed dizzy. It was just 10 minutes, I swear. But I never told you because I knew how it would sound. I stared at her. My throat went dry. You brought him into our home? Only once, she said. I never thought. I didn't know I made a mistake, Elliot. But I swear nothing happened. It didn't matter if she was telling the truth anymore. What mattered was someone unstable had crossed a line neither of us saw coming. This wasn't about Camden. It wasn't about a kiss at a party. This was something darker. Someone had wormed their way into our lives and now felt entitled to stalk her and punish me for existing. Marlene clutched my arm. Please don't go to the police yet. Let me talk to HR again. Let me try to fix this. I was about to argue, but something in her face stopped me. She looked genuinely terrified, like she knew that pushing the wrong button might make everything worse. So I agreed, but only for 24 hours. If nothing changed by then, I was going to the authorities with everything. That night, I barely spoke to her. We locked every door, slept in shifts, and kept the lights on like scared children after a nightmare. Around 3 a.m., I heard a soft thud at the back door. I grabbed the bat from under the bed and crept through the hallway, adrenaline flooding my system. When I opened the back door, there was nothing but wind and shadows. I stepped outside, looked around, and saw nothing, until I turned toward the mailbox. There, half sticking out, was another envelope. Inside it, a screenshot. It was a still from our baby monitor app, one we hadn't used in over a year. It showed Marlene in the shower, barely visible through the steamed-up glass door, taken from the hallway outside the bathroom. There was no message this time, no name, just proof. Proof that someone had been watching us for much, much longer than we realized. We didn't sleep the rest of that night. Every sound made us jump. Every car that passed by sent shivers down my spine. Marlene stayed close, not out of romance but survival. The weight of everything we'd ignored, everything we'd swept under the rug, was now staring us in the face. We were vulnerable, not just emotionally, but literally. The next morning, I made the call myself, straight to the police. I handed over the photo, the note, the screenshot from the baby monitor. I told them everything. The party, Camden, the messages, the strange man named Tyler who worked with my wife. They took it seriously. Finally, that same afternoon, an officer visited Marlene's office with a detective. Tyler was called in for questioning. Turns out we weren't the only ones. He'd done similar things to 2 other women in the company, but nobody had tied the pieces together. Marlene had been the only one to bring him inside her home, though unintentionally giving him the access he needed. They found photos on his phone, notes, even a spreadsheet where he had logged dates, times, and patterns of her routines. He was charged with stalking and unlawful surveillance. He's now facing trial, and a restraining order is firmly in place. As for us, no, we didn't magically fix everything overnight. There was no dramatic kiss in the rain or teary vow renewal. But after everything, something shifted. We started going to therapy together. For the first time in years, we talked without filters, without fear. And somewhere in all that brokenness, we found a strange kind of healing. Marlene came clean about everything. Every message with Camden, every moment she doubted our marriage. And I admitted to my silence, my passivity, how I let things fester without voicing my needs. We'd both made mistakes, different in shape but equal in impact. And we made a decision, not to erase the past, but to learn from it. We left that house, moved to a different city, started fresh in a small apartment without the weight of old memories. We don't pretend it didn't happen, but we also don't live in fear anymore. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is what finally wakes you up.